Welcome, everyone. Hello. Excited to see all of you here. If you'd like to go on mute, that'd be great. If you want to show your face, that'd be great too. We'd love to see you. We are doing a special event today. We're doing an interview with Amy Ziff, founder of Made Safe. And Made Safe is the third-party verification program that we work with for all of our products. So I'm excited to dive in when Amy joins. If you want to go ahead and put in the chat where you're coming from, but then also I'm curious, are you coming in through Made Safe or did you hear about this live event through Annmarie Skin Care? So let us know if you're a Made Safe follower or Annmarie Skin Care, and that would be helpful. Very cool. Hi, Jackie. Hi, Melissa. Okay, great. Hi, Marilyn. Got a lot of Annmarie people here. Okay, cool. Great. Hi, Deb. Hi, Karen, Carrie. Amazing. So as we're waiting to join, we're waiting for Amy, and she is going to dive into all the things about Made Safe, kind of what sparked her to create Made Safe. I'll tell you a little background while we're waiting for her. I worked with her on a campaign. So I was working on a campaign here in California for labeling GMOs. And I remember her and I just stayed connected, and she was working on a couple of different projects. And then I remember when she launched Made Safe, I was like, yeah, that's amazing. Like, this is definitely needed because there was nothing really like it at the time. And she's like, well, you want to make your products Made Safe? I was like, sure, there's no brainer. Like, we don't have to do anything to do it. So it was really sweet, very synergistic working with her. I guess we can go ahead and start with some of what the discounts are going to be today while we wait for her. Let me shoot her a text as well to let her know we're on here. Grace, do you want to go ahead and open with some of the discounts we're going to be doing?
Yes, of course. Let me go ahead and put it in the chat. So we have two offers for you today. We are offering 25% off site-wide with the code ASC MadeSafe, which don't worry, it's in the chat. And just note this does not apply towards subscription orders. Additionally, for our new customers who may be joining us today, we are offering 40% off the Clean Beauty Trial Kit with the code ASC New 40. And then additionally, we have one very special free gift for all orders today. You will be getting our Toxic Home guide, our e-guide, completely free with all your orders. So that's really exciting, and that guide is amazing. And we're going to talk about it a little more later in the call. But let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to message me in the chat directly or just for everyone, whatever you want to do. But yeah, I think that's about it.
Amazing. Thanks, Grace. Sweet. Okay.
Where it go turns this off, it goes to your phone. I
Hello.
know, I hope it does.
All right. And then I unpin you. Hello, Amy.
Hi,
How are you?
apologies for my difficulty with the link. It
No
was
worries. No worries at all. I was filling them in a little bit about how I knew you. And
oh,
at the
exciting.
beginning, yeah, and we could just dive right in. We've asked some people to tell us where they're joining from, if they're coming in through Made Safe or Annmarie Skin Care. We just went over some of the specials today. We're going to be offering 25% off to everybody. If you're a new customer, you get 40% off the Clean Beauty trial. And then also with all orders today, you're getting our toxic free home guide, which I will touch on in just a little bit. But Amy, welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Let's dive in. Do you want to talk about maybe your kind of how you got started? Share how Made Safe began and what inspired you, all the things.
Sure. Um, well, I I think it's sometimes our lives are always leading us to a certain point. And for me, I always kind of considered myself a self-declared greenie, an egoista, if you will. And I had spent most of my life on the East Coast and then found myself living on the West Coast. My husband and I were both in tech, and we moved to Palo Alto, and we had one little baby. And I quickly got pregnant with my next two, with my twins. And for me, it wasn't being pregnant so much as once I had them, I brought them home from the hospital, and these twins were allergic to things I didn't even know it was possible to be allergic to. And, I had a master's in journalism. I considered, as I said, myself a greenie. I had been living what I thought was a relatively healthy life. And yet, what I learned when these guys came home from the hospital and were allergic to all kinds of things I didn't know it was possible to be allergic to, was that our homes are filled with, you know, all kinds of chemicals and chemistries that we don't even have any awareness of, and yet they can play very important roles when it comes to our health and well-being. And that I like to now refer to these chemicals as the uninvited guests to the party that is our lives. And they can really wreak havoc. And for my little babies who were particularly sensitive to these chemicals, some of them anyway, they showed a light on this for me. And it was one of those lessons in life. Once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. You can't stop seeing it, and you can't not act. And that was the moment that my life changed. And my twins were allergic to things the hospital sent me home with. To body wash and lotion, to baby bath, to diapers and wipes, and even the breastfeeding pillow that I was using that everyone had said, I mean, I didn't use one with my first, but as a mom to twins, when you're just like, holy moly, I'm going to have three kids under the age of three in my home. It's going
Oh,
to be mayhem. Like, I will follow whatever somebody who has been walking in that line of fire first says to do. And they said, get this baby pillow. And it smelled so badly
mm,
that I left it outside. And then when I wanted to use it, I would bring it inside, and then my kids would vomit. And I never thought until I started to dig into this work that perhaps this thing was off-gassing something that, bothered me and really bothered my newborns. So anyway, that was where I kind of started. And at first, it was just, how do I help my own kids? How do I stop these allergic reactions, these angry red rashes that looked like blisters and burns? What do I do? Because my singleton didn't look like that. So I knew there was an opportunity to do differently. And I just thought, like, why not help them? And then I thought, oh my God, how do people not know that there are all these chemicals and the things that we use on a daily basis that we're spending our good hard-earned dollars to buy, and yet they're filled with things that maybe are, at best allergens and at worst really harmful and toxic, impacting the long term of our health. Why would we do that? Don't more people want to know this? And that was how I got started, Rachel. It's a long answer, but it's funny, in all the years that I've been doing this work, it's like it's so personal. It's so personal to me, and it is so personal to almost everyone that I have a conversation with. It may not be them, it might be someone they love, someone in their life who's touched by, cancer, and that sort of is the tip of the iceberg for them, and realizing and having this aha. And so for the last 15 years, I've really devoted myself not just to Made Safe, what became Made Safe out of all of the research I was doing and what it grew into, but helping be a guidepost for companies that want to differentiate themselves by formulating better. Some people will say, why didn't you start a brand? And I was like, because I was finding good products. I wanted to shine a light on those.
Yeah, amazing. I love it. And I was sharing a little bit with our customers and your followers of when you first launched Made Safe and you were telling me you're going to have skincare brands. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like, no brainer for us. And at the time, we hadn't launched our Wild Alchemy collection, which has more activated ingredients. So it was super simple to just be like, okay, everything's made safe. We didn't really need to do too much digging because it was just herbs and oils. I mean, we had some, but yeah, it was very synergistic in the way that you launched, and we're like, yes, let's get on board. And quickly you've grown since then. Can you talk a little bit about, I guess, beauty in general and having us on? And then how I went on your page, I was writing a blog post, which we will share with everyone. And I went
Mhm.
on your site and saw you have a lot of new brands.
We
And
do.
I mean, I
We
want to hear
do.
just how you're growing.
Well, one of the things that we want to do was always remain a small but agile team, an impactful team without being a huge team, because one of the things that's become really clear is that oftentimes the brands that are doing the I don't want to say the best work, but that are out in front leading on ingredients, brands like Annmarie Skin Care. But you guys are now kind of old school in that you've been at this for a while. You know what you're doing. Many of the newer brands kind of coming up in this space, they start out really small. They're not venture backed. They are driven by a founder with a mission, and we want to keep it affordable. So we needed, always to have a lean team, but how to do that and be, in fact, impactful. And so our growth has really been always, no pun intended, but organic. It is like companies come to us because they were like, we want to know that what we're doing is meaningful. We want to have an independent, scientific, rigorous third party hold our feet to the fire to make sure we're meeting our mission and our mandate. It turns out that we help these companies really hold a line when it comes to contract manufacturers, to suppliers, saying everybody in clean does this. Well, that might be fine for them. They don't have a defined meaning of what that word or term means. There is none. It's a marketing term. So they might want to land and play in the clean space, but saying it and doing it, two really different things. So our growth has always come from companies that are really determined to do this, and oftentimes are little and
Yeah.
growing as you guys have to, big and bigger, and maybe have big ambition. Our goal is that we are with companies, some of them from inception, but early on, and grow as they grow. And so that's really been our approach is do the work, help the companies, lead the way, let them get better and better at what they do. And I think that's something, Rachel, we can speak to it because we have worked together for a long time. And, you know, I think you guys have increasingly been able to benefit from the ecosystem process. As you said, you're starting to use more, complex performance ingredients to deliver in terms of efficacy for your products, but you don't want to sacrifice anything on those. So that's a collaboration between your team and our science and research team doing the diligence and saying, like, okay, here's why you might not want to use that ingredient. It's not right for Made Safe certification. Here's why that is. Does that ring true for you guys? And there have been times I know where you've said, like, oh, gosh, okay, let's, pivot and not launched a product until you felt your ingredients all lined up with that mission and mandate. And you guys are a brand that is, a true joy to work with because you've so bought in and you're so invested, and you guys are so smart about the ingredients and knowing what they do, their potency and why you want to use them. And so it's been just a really wonderful relationship. And I think those are the best relationships where, both sides feel like they're adding value and learning and growing. And now we point to you guys as, a great brand model to follow. So it's
Oh,
exciting to see your growth and allow us to grow alongside you. So,
yeah. Yeah. Well, and also we're going to do some giveaways, and I'll share a little bit about Annmarie Skincare for those of you who may not be coming from Annmarie Skincare and coming from Made Safe who are new to the brand. So I asked Amy some of her favorite products before we hopped on, and she gave me a list, and we're going to try to give all of them away. One of them is the
oh, fun.
one of them is the anti-aging serum. So this will be our first giveaway. And if you want to plug into the chat, we have 70 people here. We'll give two away. I think that's great. Let me know which serum you're currently using now. And if it's not Annmarie Skincare, don't worry, you won't be faulted. I just want to know what you're using, if it's our products or another brand. So Annmarie Skincare was founded very many moons ago, over 15 years ago, by Annmarie and Kevin Gianni, husband and wife duo, kind of on the search to find a clean brand. They were looking for something that they can recommend to their followers, and there was nothing out there. And as I said, this was 15 years ago, so there really was nothing out there. And Annmarie went to a spa. She stumbled upon a brand that she fell in love with and felt deeply connected with, reached out to the owner. I'm giving you the truncated version here, and formed a very strong bond and relationship immediately. And they launched Annmarie Skincare together, and she was part owner of the brand and formulator. And her name is Bunny, and she was just magical in her sense of synergy between cosmetics and herbalism and bringing the natural world into products. And so all of our products carry that intention and that aspect of the herb infusion process, the carefully selected ingredients, the going through the verification, using the crafting process, using sustainable materials in the finished product. Yeah, that's our brand in a nutshell. And we recently, over the past 6 years, have launched our Wild Alchemy collection, which really contributes and incorporates some of these high-end activated ingredients that you would typically find in a beauty product, but we're finding the most purest form of it. So ceramides from pineapples or peptides from sake, plant cells and stem cells from plants and citrus, hyaluronic acid, a vitamin C that's oil soluble and stable, and also plant derived and not petroleum derived. So those are just a few examples. But yeah, we take it, in my opinion, to the next level. And I have been a skincare junkie and skin for a very long time. And I love a couple of other brands, but even if I didn't work here, this is my favorite brand there is because it's the best.
And I would just like to say one of the things that, on a personal level, you have a bunch of my favorites there that I will just share with this group about Annmarie is, you know, when I started this, the first thing I did, and what people always say, like, well, how do I do it? You're so much further ahead. This feels so intimidating. Um, what I wanted to do was kind of clean up the products that I was using in my house and the everyday purchases that I was making. Like when I say everyday, I mean a lot of the oftentimes repetitive purchases we make because we have this opportunity to vote with our dollars, especially in those kinds of purchases where there are ingredient labels, whether or not they're fully transparent or whether they're playing a label game. I can't, that's a more nuanced conversation, but at least you have this opportunity to assess your product from what you know. And the first thing I had to do was get rid of every fragranced product that I had, because that's a really great place to begin if you want to reduce your daily impact from chemicals and potentially harmful ones. Fragrance, as probably everybody here knows, is like a black box of God knows what. It can be hundreds, if not 1,000 ingredients that get tucked in there, and many of them don't even have to be related to the actual scent. But amongst them can be endocrine active chemicals, things like phthalates and all that. So I was like, okay, no fragrance. And and that was a really hard switch to make, and it was like a lonely one. And so when we started to work with Annmarie Skin Care, one of the things that was so exciting to me was these products were naturally, again, no pun intended, but they were vibrant, they were vital, and they were fragrant. Not because they necessarily had some ingredient designed to be fragrant, though they actually taught me you could do fragrance in a way that was coming from essential oils. If you are non-reactive, could be really potent and amazing. But it brought sort of that whole profile of scent back into my life. And that was really fantastic. And so I will say you will experience, if this is your first time using an Anne-Marie product and you've been drinking this Kool-Aid of lowering your, impact from products and going fragrance free, you want to know this is going to be an experience and it's okay. Because that was the other thing. My husband would say, wait, what's going on? Something smells and not, it could smell good, but he was just like, you've taught me that I shouldn't have any scent. So then I have to say, no, honey, that's okay. This product is, from Annmarie Skin Care. It's okay that it smells or that it lingers. It's not lingering because of chemicals. It's because of how it sits on your skin and all of that.
I love that. Yeah, we should probably pick a winner. Grace, you want to pick two winners and then I'll dive into some essential oil fun stories?
Yeah. So our two winners for the anti-aging serum is Megan Bolt and Helen Bobel. So yay, Helen and Megan. For everyone who's new
Congratulations.
here, for our giveaway winners, I'm gonna put a quick form for you to fill out in the chat. It's just some basic contact info, and then I will be emailing you right after the call to get that process started. So keep an eye out for that. But yay, Megan and Helen.
Congrats. Yay, sweet. Yeah, essential oils. I I'm probably the biggest nut with fragrance. Like I'll get into someone's car and if they have something, I have to get out. Like I'm a nut job. And my husband is just like, just chill, it's fine. Or I think I can say this, but I'll be minimal with my words. So we had someone come over and she would wear perfume. And I was just like, she can't wear perfume. And we were hiring her to, help with things. Her mom's probably not watching, but, and I had to just say, like, I cannot, like, you have to shower before you come over because it would stay on her clothes for days. And my husband's like, just let it go. It's like, I'm not letting this go. This is toxic. This is bad. This is harmful. She shouldn't even be wearing this. Like, I was just beside myself. And I take it to the next level on a lot of things. So I am very hardcore about fragrance and eliminating it, having it completely far away from everything I'm near. Our essential oils, even some essential oils, aren't the purest. And I feel like the suppliers that we work with take it to a next level on traceability. I went to one of the farms in France a couple summers ago, went to their facility, their whole manufacturer. I went to like 3 of their plants. It was so clean, so pristine. She was diving deep into some of the essential oils that I was looking into for contaminants. Like it was just
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
because everything, when it comes to ingredients, it's not just, again, what is put on a package, it's what's behind that. So, what Rachel's talking about is, how is that essential oil extracted? And at Made Safe, we have rules around what we'll permit. Some chemical extractions can leave really, really nasty stuff behind in the imprint in the essential oil. So you think you're buying an essential oil, it comes from plants, must be good, and it can be loaded with like hexane or other, harmful things. So methods of extraction you're never going to see on a label unless a brand is telling you and talking about theirs in respect to others. And it's important. And that's all the invisible stuff you don't see that goes into not just Anne-Marie Skin Care, but into certifying a made safe product. We're looking at provenance. We're looking at what's been done to something, and we're doing that work under NDA with brands, their manufacturers, suppliers where necessary. And so we're seeing a whole story that a consumer could not get access to themselves. And so we always like to talk about that. This isn't self-reporting. This isn't like, oh, here's the list on pack. Is that
Mhm.
okay? And I always tell people, like, I don't know, because labels can lie, even the best ones. And they, again, don't necessarily mean to. Some do. Some are, potentially leading. But you gotta know deeper. And one of the only ways as a consumer you can protect yourself when it comes to personal care and beauty in that regard is really made safe.
Yeah. And I had been gathering information about EWG specifically because so many of our customers ask, are you EWG verified? And I am like, no, absolutely not. No. And I'm very happy that we're not. And so I was gathering information. We finally got it published last night. So, Grace, if you want to share that link, that would be great. It breaks down kind of the due diligence that MadeSafe does. And I go straight for it to break down this is what MadeSafe does and this is what EWG does. And I had an experience with their Skin Deep database a while back around they just didn't have enough human power to do the due diligence to review what was being put in there by consumers. And then, so that's their unpaid program. And then they have their paid program. And looking into it, I think for us and our brand, it was like $150,000 for the year, which is insane, which obviously we can't afford. We're a small business. And also, furthermore, they allow a lot of different chemicals, a lot of different ingredients that we like literally go out and say you need to avoid. Like we started a campaign to avoid these ingredients. So the link is there. Yeah, there it is. So you can read a little bit more about that, but it just goes to show a little bit more about how intense and how rigorous and how hardcore Made Safe is. And we're not made safe for a marketing ploy. We're not doing it because it's trendy or because people want to see that we're made safe. We're doing it because we actually care. We actually really, really, really want to avoid these things. And, Kevin, Annmarie, and I met on the premise of activism on removing GMOs from our food supply by transparency. Because when people know what they're eating, they want to avoid things that are toxic. And it goes into with our beauty products as well and personal care products. So I'm excited about that. Great. Thanks, Grace, for posting that there.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah,
I saw some of the comments and people get scared and like, oh no, I've used that. And I think the point is it's a good starting point, but especially for a brand like Annmarie, it isn't the end point. So they wanted something more differentiated that met with who they are, what their mission is, what their mandate is, and that's always made safe is, you know, out in front. I've yet to find some seal that is more rigorous and, look forward to the day when we do. We're like, ooh, they're pushing us,
yeah.
that'd be awesome.
That's what you want. Yeah, you want these verification seals and programs to challenge you and look for the worst things out there so we can have more transparency. And thanks for mentioning that. I do mention in the article, and I want to do say that EWG is a great starting point. It does bring a lot of just visibility to what's out there, but I think it needs to go much further than where it's at for us as a brand.
Or
Um,
use made
but
safe. Or
yeah,
just use made safe. And I will say, and you do a great job of articulating this in the piece, our starting point, because people sometimes wonder, like, how do I know if we're a good fit for Made Safe, And we say it starts with our Made Banned list, and that is a list of 15,000 ingredients that are common in commerce and need to be avoided. If anyone is considering themselves in that clean zone, clean, green, eco, how natural, however you want to define it, we've put those ingredients together, and we stand by that and invite any company working anywhere around the world to come and step into the green zone and use the banned list as a place of wisdom, information, knowledge in order to learn how to make their products better and truly make a difference. Because that's not where Made Safe ends. That's just where it begins. That's the jumping off point. But we think that needs to be the floor, if you will, of green going forward. And that even in the absence of legislation, that could do a really important job of helping products know, determine, and define what it means to be, playing in this space and to have an opportunity to step up and lead by example, improve, and help clean up our air, water, and soil.
Yeah, I love that. Let's do another giveaway. How many of you, we've had quite a few people join in the past few minutes. So we do have some specials going on, which we'll post again. But we're going to give away another one of her favorite products is the Aloe Herb Cleanser. So this
It's
was
very
one of
popular in my house. I have
ours.
three teenagers, and my girls swear by it.
Love it. Yeah, this is a staple. This one has been around for a very long time. So let us know, had you heard of Made Safe before this call?
Mm.
And had you heard, and be specific, have you just heard of it or were you familiar with how incredible they are? Okay.
So much opportunity for education.
I know,
Yay.
not at
And
all.
now it's like the old Clairol commercial. Can I even say that name here in this circle? But it's like tell three
That's
friends. They
great.
tell three friends, and then it goes to, does anybody remember that? Okay.
I
Just,
love this. Okay,
but
no,
that's the
not
way the
really
world works.
anybody had heard of it. I love this. Okay.
And
Uh,
now you know.
yeah, this is great. I've not heard
And
of
I will say that on Made Safe, we have an area called our catalog, and that's literally just a catalog of things that we certify. And we certify all kinds of everyday goods. So, spanning from the bed and mattress that you sleep on to the textiles you put on it to obviously beauty products, baby products, but even stepping into pet products and other arenas. So, whatever you are looking for next, maybe go to madesafe.org, check out our catalog, and look for a little inspiration.
And also one thing, I don't know if you even like this, Amy, that I do this, but like sometimes I'll find brands that I think I like them. Like I want to get to know them more. I want to learn more. I know I can't get the details because it's hard for me to get details as the
Right.
operating officer for Annmarie Skin Care from suppliers. So I'm not going to be able to get it as some random consumer from some random company. So, anyways, I'll try to get them to become Made Safe. I'll try to introduce them. I'll ask them, have you heard of Made Safe? Like if you find a brand and you like a brand that you think is clean or maybe not, maybe you want to make the change or maybe you know they're trying to make the change, try to introduce them to Made Safe. Try to get them to become Made Safe.
It's so meaningful. We have brands that come to us and they say, our customers have been asking, just a little ping
Yeah.
on social if you're active there, or to their customer service is a great way to do this and help create momentum and change. And Rachel, you asked about growth. That's definitely a form of, referral that we get. For some companies, it's, a couple months and they're ready to go. And for others, it's a couple of years of work in the making just to get maybe even a single product certified. But that's how big change happens. We do it one ingredient at a time, one product at a time, one person at a time.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Grace, do you have a winner?
I do. So our winner for the Aloe cleanser is Vivian Cadell. First of all, I love that name. So pretty. But Vivian, I'm super excited for you. Make sure you look out for that form to fill out in the chat. But yay, Vivian.
Congratulations. And if you have questions on our products, I will try to get to them. We are going to have a tight schedule today, but I do see your question on the CBD. The hemp serum is identical in formulation, except we're using a whole flower hemp instead of just the CBD. So it's actually better. So Alice, if you want to check that out. Yeah. Okay. Let's dive into, I guess, tools that we could all use for a healthier lifestyle. So we talked about removing toxic chemicals and toxins in our homes. I'll talk a little bit about the toxic free home guide after, but do you want to dive into anything that you suggest? I know you guys had a resource as well at one point. Or any thoughts?
Yeah, for where to start. I talk about this stuff all the time. It's how I live and my family lives. And I've had a lot of practice at giving the talk where I glaze over everybody's eyes, and then the whole audience is like just a zombie apocalypse. They're so petrified of like even breathing in their own house. So I've kind of learned how to like pull that back and help give some really big picture advice. So I will try and give that here and say there is a lot of information on our website about this as well. But one of the things that you can do, it's actually where Rachel, Annmarie, Kevin all met each other. But one of the best things you can do is eat well, because when you eat well, and by eating well, I mean keep it low processed, keep it as close to its original form. Uh, Make it at home, maybe eat it raw or not highly cooked, so that you're really retaining a lot of nutrient value from those foods. The more you can do that and give your body those kinds of building blocks, the better it's going to be when it is onslaught with chemicals that it doesn't know what to do with, because good foods, real foods, help your body detoxify. So I like to lead with something easy that's just like, hey, you don't even have to change a thing, but eat better. And every single one of us can do this. With just a little bit of intention. And when my kids are like, but it's hard, I'm like, how hard was it to cut a piece of celery? It was not hard, actually. That was easier than even like opening a packet of pre-made snacks. So, it's much more about having that celery around in the fridge and ready to grab. So, food. After that, when it comes to chemicals, I kind of like to say go after the biggies. And the biggies, sometimes I affectionately call the poison peas. And what they are pesticides, plastics, and PFAS. So those are the top ones.
Can you touch on us really quick? Because some people may not know
Yes,
what these are.
I will go into each of
Oh,
them.
okay.
So, okay, pesticides I've already covered. They're coming in through your food. What you may not know is that they're also in a ton of household products, from personal care, even anything antimicrobial, antibacterial, to like the cleaning sprays that you're using. Obviously, they are also in anything that is designed to kill an insect, and so an insecticide, the fact that something is an aside that is like designed to kill. So think about where you're using pesticides and reduce any place you can. Easy ones are don't use antibacterial soap. You don't need it. Soap and water has been proven to be just as efficacious and way simpler from a chemical perspective, and your body knows what to do with that. It means avoiding quaternary ingredients, certain surfactants, all of those things. But instead of having to worry about, well, what kind of chemical is that, just look for these keywords of antibacterial, antimicrobial, and try and avoid those, which does not mean you can't use a product with a preservative. It's just avoiding certain kinds, which are much harder on your body than others. And not just your body, but they have what I call that knock-on effect. They're much harder on the amoebas in our soil that we need for good, healthy soil, much harder on the organisms in our water, which we actually need for healthy aquatic environments. So it's not just you that these products impact, it's, all throughout what we at Made Safe call the ecosystem, these different nuances in the environment. Okay, so that's pesticides. Then we go to plastics. Reduce plastics everywhere possible. This comes from in your kitchen, the containers that you're keeping food in, and it goes all the way to, the surfaces that you're using to cook, prep food, never heat plastics in a microwave, for example. But then plastics, once you start looking, you're like, oh my gosh, my water bottle, it's plastic. Well, could you change to glass or stainless steel? Made Safe has lots of ideas on this if you need them. But, I always tell people like, you take something home from the store, see if there's a glass alternative to plastic. Number one. Number two, don't throw it out or recycle it right away. Reuse it. I'm drinking my kombucha today at my desk in a proper glass, but very often you will see me drinking out of a recycled jar that came out of my dishwasher, after it was used as something else. So I'm giving it longer life. So that's, plastics. And think about, now that I've said it, where else you see plastics in your home. Can you get rid of them? Are you bringing your own bag? I mean, that one's really easy, but you have to actually have a bag with you at all times to make it effective. Things like that, really easy ways. And then just looking for, does this company make a solution that does not use plastic as its, casing, especially the single use? So if you're taking food home from a store, can you either bring your own or tote it back in something that's reusable? So plastics are abundant everywhere and will outlast you in terms of like how long you live by hundreds of years at best. Which brings me to the forever chemicals, as they're sometimes affectionately called, the PFAS, which are per and polyfluoroalkyl ingredients. It's a mouthful. And PFAS, there are literally tens of thousands of these. They were originally known for their stain-resistant stain stick pans like Teflon. That seemed like this incredible invention. But what makes them so effective at their job is also what makes them so concerning. They will last a glacial age. Their bonds are so strong, they are to this day unbreakable. And so they stick around in the environment. They're what we call persistent. And I thought plastic was bad. The PFAS chemicals put plastics to shame. They last infinitely longer. And they've been associated with all kinds of harms similar to plastics. They're endocrine active. Some of them have been proven to be so. Some are carcinogens of a variety of types. These are pretty nasty chemicals and chemistries, and they're not necessarily named on the package. So if you have, for example, cosmetics, maybe mascara or lip or eyeshadow, and it claims to be long lasting or all day, you can pretty safely assume that there's a PFAS chemical or chemistry in there to make it that way. So an easy thing to do is avoid things that make that claim, especially in your personal care. Where you'll find them in your home is they're in stain resistant materials. So your couch, don't get the stain resistant treatment. It's been proven that those chemicals, they don't stay put, they don't stay on the couch. The minute you sit on it, they start to degrade and now they're traveling throughout your home. Carpets, clothing, things like that you want to avoid. Stick with natural fibers. And we work with a company called Meliora, and they have an incredible cleaning stick, a stain stick, and that is like my kids know I travel with it. Like I don't leave home without it because as a person who doesn't want to use the more chemical detergents and things, like I need to hit my stain when I get it and I need to start to remove it. So that's, a way I deal with that. It's just a much lower tox way of approaching these things. And doesn't cause any skin reactions for me or my family. So it's an easy choice and a simple switch and things that, you guys can do at home too. I'm sure those are just some of my ideas, but Rachel, you probably have a jillion ways to add to that as well, because I know you're super into this as you said, you kick out people with perfume. I know that experience from your house.
Hard to too. Yeah, that was great. That was really helpful. And yes, Megan, the Meliora stick is what she's talking about. I'm looking at some of the questions too that
Oh,
I'll
cool.
I'll repeat some for you as well. You most likely will find this Meliora stick in our toxic free home guide. I think I link out to it. I'm obsessed with it. We have it. I only have one, or I don't know why I just have one, but anytime my husband wears something light colored, I'm just like, give me that.
Oh my gosh, with little kids, it's just like,
It's the best. Yeah, it's a great stick. I never used to use stains. I've never used it. And I think they sent it to me or I got it maybe at an event or something, and I'm
yeah.
obsessed with it. It's so good. Um, but yeah, I think it can be overwhelming and daunting to first not be familiar with any of this and start to explore it. And so I created the Toxic Free Home Guide years ago, and it's kind of just like a passion project that we wanted to share with our customers because it matters. And it's taking a look into each room. So it goes into the kitchen, it goes outdoors into your garden, the living room, the bathroom, all
It's
the different
great.
areas. Yeah, I think it's really helpful. It's very all-encompassing and it takes you into each room and it gives you alternatives. So I think this is the second or third edition of it. I try to update it every few years with new companies, new brands, new links, new information, new chemicals, things like that. But it's very helpful where you can go and see, okay, in my living room, these are some potential things. Amy talked about couches. There's also, carpets or home materials, so flooring and construction materials, which you may not have control over some, but some you do. If you're changing out your paint in your home, you can use a clay-based paint. Or if you're finishing a chair or something that you want to put oil on, there are non-toxic things that you can use in that realm. So I would just take it slowly. I think that's like my one tip for removal of some of these things. Personal care products, I think, is the easiest thing that you have control over because you're literally taking that step to purchase it, put it in your home, put it on your body. One thing recently, what was happening? Oh, my child, my 3-year-old was like, I try so hard to keep things like no toxic chemicals, no nothing, like everything. And she's eating this piece. There was I got a sandwich to go from a local shop and it had the toothpick with, I think it was biodegradable, this little plastic. I don't think it was actually plastic because it was melting, but she had it in her mouth. And my brother was like, Vish, your mom's going to have a heart attack. And I was like, I am. And I'm just like, we try so hard to keep things clean. And I think that was a really interesting reminder for me. Keep things clean where you can because chemicals are going to show up somewhere else. Like there's so much. We might walk into a store and they just renovated and they have fresh carpet and you have to smell it or you can leave. Or you go into another store and they have perfume wafting in the air. So you're going to get inundated with these chemicals somewhere in your life. You can't always avoid them. So I think if you can change out what you have control over in your home, like your cleaning products, your personal care products, your food, your packaging that you're putting your food in, your cookware, like these are things that you actually have control
Yeah.
over, do it because you're gonna have chemicals somewhere else. You know?
Yeah, and I always tell people like it is not the goal is never zero. You'll never hit zero. It's an impossibility. I don't hit zero. Rachel doesn't hit zero. Her kids don't. My kids don't. What we all want is our bodies to be able to do what they are designed for, which is to detoxify. And so, with every elimination that you are aware of, that you do,
Mhm.
you lessen the toxic burden your body has to carry. And, I've done a couple of TED Talks, talked about this, but we live in a really toxic age. And there have never been more ubiquitous man-made synthetic chemistries than today. Tomorrow there'll be more.
Mhm.
What you can do to help yourself is get out of the way where you can. Create a sanctuary in your home with a commitment to supporting and using cleaner products. That's the best thing you can do because when you are at home, your body starts to rest. And when it rests, it starts to do the detoxification work, especially when you sleep, which is why sleep is really important. That's when your body is dumping these things, and you want it to be able to do that without encountering, what we call detox retox, where it's like out with the bad, and then you're just like breathing in all these synthetics and lousy stuff and whatnot. So, avoiding those big three poison peas in your home is is a really good way to start to clean up, and supporting companies that are making your job easier and and making your life better, frankly, um, tips the scales in your favor to health and wellness.
Yeah,
And who doesn't want to do that?
I love that. Okay, I want to hear from everybody. And somebody's asking about diatomaceous earth, which I'll ask you and you can touch on if you'd like. But let's hear from everyone. What is one thing that after this call just now, or some of this call, that you just had an aha moment and you're like, I need to dive into this and I need to explore this and eliminate this, whatever this is. Tell me what this is. And we will give away one of our Palo Santo body butters, which is another one of Amy's favorite products.
I love that one. It is so incredibly creamy and decadent, and like I just luxuriate in how um I don't know, I cannot explain this, but it's like I feel um it's a sensual experience, right? Like
Yes, very
it's this
luxurious.
gift to yourself and your body. Like I grew up in an age where everybody used baby oil, and baby oil would create, it's petroleum derived, create this barrier on your skin. But like guess I liked that feeling because it's a kind of a heavy moisturizer. But of course now I'm like, I can't use baby oil. I wouldn't be caught dead buying that, right? Um, but the body butter is rich and creamy and nourishing and like the best of that sensation. So just
Yeah,
my little plug for
I
why I
love
love it. It
that.
smells amazing.
Yeah, I like taking a little teeny tiny bit and putting it in the bath because they're really just that essential oil blend wafts throughout your bathroom.
Oh,
Yeah, it's nice.
little known way to use it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of cool things here. Get rid of my favorite perfume. I hear you, and Marianne, you as well. That's great.
I will say that we launched our first
I
perfume
saw that.
company. Yeah, it's called Esses, and just giving them a little shout out. I think it's really cool. They're two former fragrance house, longtime career workers, and they wanted to do something better. And the fragrance houses weren't really interested in supporting that work, so they have, a collection of fragrances that are all made safe certified, and they're not going to last for, days on end,
Mhm.
um, because they don't have those kinds of chemical profiles. But if you're looking for a scent, it's really nice. So,
Love that. Yeah. A perfume. I mean, I mentioned the fragrance piece. I wanted to start a perfume line and I had two formulas ready. I had my branding, everything, and then I had a baby. And I was like, nah, maybe I'll just be a mom and continue my job. And it's still like a passion project that I might continue on with while working with Annmarie Skin Care. But
mhm,
I think clean perfume is so essential because we all love to have a little perfume. We have our oud essential oil blend, and we've
mhm.
talked about launching some other things. We do have our hair and body mist, the Love, that we just recently launched, but I want to check out that brand. It sounds great.
Yeah, it's very fun. And and I will say, like, fragrance isn't in the cards for some people. I've met a lot of people with who come to this again with, serious autoimmune issues and a whole host of things that make fragrance, even from the best source, like not great for them or not great for their bodies at this moment and this time. But there are also a lot of people who are avoiding it because they couldn't find a clean version. And so that's cool.
That's great. Okay, Grace, do we have a winner?
Yes, so our winner for the Palo Body Butter, which is honestly one of my favorites too. I'm so excited for Lisa Purvis to try it. So
Yay.
yay, Lisa. Watch out for that form. I'll put it in the chat. But yay, Lisa.
Congrats. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of answers in here. Pillows, what I sleep on. It's so important. Yeah, I can't even fathom. I remember having an aha moment. I think my bed was like 20 years old when I got rid of it, which probably off-gassed already in my teens. But yeah, I think bedding, even your blankets and having wool if you can, or I think you
Yeah,
have
and
these
I
brands.
think on those things with sleep, like someone mentioned, you don't, if you have a bed, don't, that is working for you, you shouldn't throw it out. That's not the goal. But what you can start to do is convert one, like your pillow is a really great place to start. If you're sleeping on a synthetic polyurethane foam pillow, you might want to change to something else. We have a bunch of bedding companies that we work with. You can find on Made Safe and go check one out. I don't know where everybody is in their, geographies, but Naturepedic, Avocado Green Mattress, Sleep 365. There are just a bunch and more that people can check out and find one at hopefully a price point they can afford. So that's a good way of starting, or converting to, if you have a conventional mattress, you could put an organic cotton topper on, and then, you know, naturally breathing sheeting and blankets, as you said, Rachel. And I'm just a huge believer of natural sleep materials because I'm at a time of life where all my temperature regulating is shifting and changing. And I'll have these people be like, I have the worst night sweats. And I'm
Mm,
just like, what are you sleeping in? Because anything with polyester, any of your soft pajamas,
Thank you, Jenny.
nightshirts, even with 5% spandex, you're sleeping in plastic and it doesn't breathe and it doesn't let your skin breathe. So as soon as you have a temperature flip,
mhm.
you're sweating and you just like can't get out of that. So it's really for all kinds of reasons, but that one was, very profound for people being like, oh, aha, light bulb.
For sure. No, I love that. That's great. Yeah, check out our toxic-free home guide. If you place an order today, you'll get it for free. If you place an order until 12, you'll get it for free. It's pretty big and there's lots of links in there. I don't know if I feel like I went into a couple of linen brands, linen bedding, which also has an energetic effect. So, and the vibrational frequency of linen. So I think there's lots of benefits there as well. Um, let's talk where are we at. Oh my goodness, we're almost at the hour. We
I
need to do
know.
a giveaway. How did we go so quickly? We're going to give away our Brighton and our Sun Love. I know some people were mentioning sunscreen's a hard one to find. Amy, do you have a question you want to ask, or I can come up with another one?
Me. I'm curious how many people use daily sunscreen. And if you're not using the Annmarie one, it's one of the best out there, because this is controversial, but I don't use things like that every day because I think we tend to overuse. But if you're going to use something to give your skin a natural, defense against the sun, then this is the one for you. I love it.
Amazing. Thank you. And then after you answer those questions, so anything sunscreen related, Grace will pick one winner. And then the Brighton, so these are two of Amy's favorite products. I'm obsessed with the Brighton. I tell everybody I wasn't using it. One of our team members wanted to launch a larger size. And I was like, I wonder why. So I started using it a lot and I became obsessed with it. But what are some things, if you've used the Brighton, what are some things that you've noticed with your skin and how it's changed? And if you haven't used it, what are some things you're hoping to see? with your skin. Grace, do you have a sunscreen winner?
Our sunscreen winner is Samantha K. So yay, Samantha. I will put the form in the chat here shortly. I'm going to wait until all these other answers come in so it's not flooded.
Oh,
But just keep your eye out for that.
okay, great. And while you're adding in your thoughts on Brighton, Amy, how can someone get involved? How can somebody learn a little bit more about Made Safe? I know you put the link in there. Anything else you
Yeah.
want to share?
I put a few links in there, so please take a look at Made Safe, sign up for our email. I will also give a shameless plug. If you go to amyziff.com, I'm going to launch a Substack soon. So that's where you can get more like life tips on
That
some of the
website?
stuff that we deal with, amyziff.com. And you should follow us on social, Made Safe HQ on Instagram and Made Safe on Facebook if anyone's there. Occasionally we are on TikTok, Made Safe HQ, and I'm Amy Ziff. Follow us, and we try and give lots of shout outs. I will say, I'm a pretty strong believer in cutting down on social media and the noise that's out there. So we try and be respectful on that. But if you don't play in social media, good choice. Follow our blog because we don't over spam and we send you news that you can use and information on new products. And the best way to support us is vote with your dollars for companies we're working with and support them. It is a hard job. What they are doing is more expensive than what their competition is doing. It costs more to use the kind of ingredients that Annmarie Skin Care uses. And so when people say, oof, but it's expensive, they have to pay for that. They have to pay for those ingredients. They still have to pay their team. They have to pay for certification. And, other companies do that, use cheap ingredients and just laugh all the way to the bank.
Thanks for mentioning that. We have to jump through hoops to get our surfactant, which is a non-GMO European base, because the US will only source GMOs, and it's just the lead times, the MOQs, the amount per kilo, the differences, and what we do to make sure that we're adhering to our standards and made safe standards is a lot. So I appreciate you mentioning that. Grace, do we have a winner?
Yes, so our winner for the Brighton is Sarah. So yay, Sarah. I will be putting the form in the chat right now, so make sure you fill that out. But yay to all our winners.
Congrats. And I just want to mention one more thing. Check out our live events page if you haven't. We're having a live event at some point. I don't know the date off the top of my head, but it will be a DIY. And so we're going to talk about a couple of cleaning products, I think a mosquito repellent. I think we're also doing a live event on essential oils and blending, and if you wanted to make your own perfume. So we have some pretty fun live events coming up if you want to check that out as well. And then if you are interested in just getting more products that are clean, I swear to you, I hope that this call was valuable so you can look at Amy and trust her. Everything you will find on Made Safe, you can fully trust that she has done the due diligence and her team has done the due diligence so that you don't have to, so that you can just buy the products. So
Yep.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Grace.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, have a great one. We'll see you all soon.
Bye.